What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel. You're watching Miguel EDC, the channel where we talk everything EDC gear here. Today, we're going to be reviewing this wonderful knife right here. Of course, we're talking about the Ketuo Illusion, right? Wonderful, very premium EDC knife. I know I'm getting very fancy with the moves here and all that, but yeah, I've been having a really good time carrying this knife. It is a It is a front flipper only, and yeah, very premium with premium materials and everything. We're gonna get into it. Got a chance to unbox this guy not that long ago. If you haven't seen the unboxing video on this bad boy, then definitely check that out as well. But this one comes to me via the Lefty EDC knife pass around, so shout out to Kevin. Really grateful for the opportunity to check out this knife. And of course, this knife is gonna be linked down below, as well as any other knife that you see in this video. It does help out the channel if you do purchase a knife through those links, but that is entirely up to you, and also at no extra cost. With that in mind, let's get things started. Let's get things going here. First of all, we're gonna do a quick overall measurement on this bad boy just to get a feel for it. We're talking about 8 1/4 inches total length, 8 1/4. Our blade length is about 3 1/2. Our handle length is about 4 3/4 of an inch right there. Those are your overall measurements on this bad boy. What do we have going on for materials here? We have a beautiful bee-blasted titanium going on. We have some anodized pivot color right there in blue, right? We have also a titanium backspacer, which looks really nice. They got the Ketuo branding back there with some jimping, right? Which looks nice. A little bit of a cutout opening right here. I'll tell you what about this knife. It looks really futuristic. This thing looks like a spaceship from, I don't know, the Avengers movies or Star Wars or something. Kind of looks like this thing is flying, right? Got a little cabin right here, your control room or what have you, and it's just flying at you like the Falcon Millennium Falcon, right? Something like that. I don't know. But yeah, very futuristic, very interesting design. If you know anything about Ketuo and Reich knife, by the way, the company, from what I understand, makes both knives, Reich and Ketuo. And yeah, they make a lot of very interesting different designs, right? They're not so much interested on the everyday utilitarian, you know, the most useful, let's say, beat on blade or what have you. They are very keen on making very interesting, beautiful designs like this one, which is obviously still very functional. We're going to get more and more into that. Of course, we have a beautiful blade here, M390 on the steel. We have an interesting and crazy looking drop point, dual ground, recurved tanto blade. How about that? Try to say that 10 times fast. Honestly, yeah, we have a little bit of a hollow grind or maybe a flat grind here, a flat grind towards the front. It is recurved in this portion here. You do have an interesting fuller, right? Check that out. It is pretty interesting. And you have about 3 different finishes here. This is a very nice polish on the edge itself or on the bevel, right? And we have the fuller is more like a bee blasted. Then we have a little bit of machine satin also in the other areas. It just looks beautiful. It really looks gorgeous right there. It's a very awesome, beautiful design there. And also a lot of reflectivity to it, right? You can see my reflection right there, waving my hand at you, right? There's the camera recording on top, right? Miguel face reveal 2024. Honestly, it's just, you know, something that you don't see every day, and you got to give him credit for that. It really looks outstanding. Just a gorgeous looking design right there. So quite a lot going on. It even has a small little pill shape, you know, hole right there as well. Nice and jimped right here in at the top of the spine of the blade also. And I mean, honestly, you have a flipper deployment option, right? So the action here, you can do the front flipper, right? And you could do the reach around. So those are your 2 deployment methods. Honestly, I did try it, tested. So sometimes if you don't put any additional pressure on the lock bar, you can thumb deploy it from time to time, as demonstrated there. Right, and then the reverse flick is sort of impossible because you sort of need to sink your nail into the fuller to try to pull it off, and it's sort of like a hit or miss. I did it one time, but that's just beating up my fingernail over and over again at the chance of perhaps maybe being able to pull off 1 deployment out of 10 different attempts. So definitely not the most recommendable thing to do, you know, the reverse flick, but you know, the thumb deployment, maybe like a 5 out of 10, because you can still make it happen somewhat. Obviously, the front flipper is the way to go here. So with your thumb, you can see my thumb is a little beat up right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a point about the jimping here in a moment here later in this video. But if you place your thumb right there, that's about the best I've found. Some people try to flip it here in the nail, somewhere in here, right? But if you do it right there, I found that works best for me. And also the reach around, right? As long as you're not pushing on the lock bar, kind of gripping it up here, you can simply, boom, do the reach around deployment. So, it does have those different deployment options going on, right? It is a frame lock. It does have a steel lock bar insert as well for steel on steel contact for longevity of that locking mechanism, which is nice. Okay, and that being said, let's do a few size comparisons here, right? It is definitely a large knife, not a short one by any means. So here's the PM2. It's actually going to be very evenly matched with the PM2, probably very, similarly the same length, maybe a hair longer. Here's the Para 3 for reference, right? So yes, definitely a large knife we're working with here. Check out the Demko AD 20.5 Shark Cub in the diamond pattern titanium scale and shark's foot blade. This one's the Shark Cub with the slicer blade, titanium handles. And yes, this illusion, it gives you the illusion, haha, pun intended, it gives you the illusion that is bigger, and that's because it really is bigger than the other two. Huh? How's that for dad jokes? That's what you come to expect of this channel, right? Some dad jokes sprinkled here and there. All right, here's the Model 1 from Ontario, Rat Model 1. Honestly, very evenly matched. The Rat Model 2, of course, is a lot shorter. Very neck and neck right there with the Rat Model 1. Very, very nice. Here are two very popular budget knives you probably are aware of. This one is a CJRB Pyrite alt with a Warncliffe blade, button lock. And this one is a Vosteed Raccoon with a drop point crossbar lock. And yeah, the Illusion is still bigger than those two. Check that out. Last but not least, we have to check out another Ketuo knife, and that is the Triad. By the way, I've been EDCing these two side by side the entire time, so the review for the Triad is coming up as well. The Triad is just a tad bit shorter. And last but not least, we'll toss another premium knife in there. This is the Vosteed RSKAOS. Okay, the Chaos is chaotically bigger. All right, okay, I'm gonna stop with the puns now. Yeah, just a tad bit bigger than the Illusion right there. You guys be the judge. Of course, it's just to give you a ballpark idea right there, so you can see sort of where it lands on the size department. Okay, we'll do a quick carry profile right here. We'll do thickness against the PM2, and it's just gonna be probably as thick as the PM2. Let's check the Rat Model 1. Rat Model 1 is just a little bit thicker, right? That's not too bad. Length and height on the pocket right here. All right, let me see. What's the best position for this guy to look like $1 million on camera? There we go. That looks good. Yeah, something like a Spyderco. Obviously, that's going to stick out a little bit more because the Spidey hole, the Reich, believe it or not, has a very streamlined design. Still pretty narrow. It is going to be significantly, still a longer knife, even when folded, clearly. But at least you're getting a pretty slim down profile. If I put it next to the AD 20.5, you can still see, right, some of these knives have a blade that sticks out further from the handle, therefore a little bit taller right there. Okay, we'll do a few more. There's the Rat Model 1. And I don't know, here's the Vosteed Raccoon. Okay, so yeah, probably very comparable to the Raccoon and the Rat Model 1, if anything. Okay, it's probably, yeah, overall size, right, the actual length and how tall it is, definitely in the Rat Model 1 territory, for sure, for sure. So again, the company here is Ketuo, right? I'm checking out these knives for the very first time. It is my first exposure to Ketuo as a brand. From what I understand, Reich, R-I-K-E, and Ketuo, K-E-T-O-U, right? Can I spell? Spelling bee? K-E-T-U-O, right? Both companies actually manufacture knives together, from what I understand. So the both brands go about hand in hand. And what they do is they make very unique standout designs, right? They're not your run-of-the-mill regular knives designers, right? That's too boring for them. They want to make unique knives, tools that stand out, right, that have personality to them, and that's what they did here with this one. I was doing some research for the review video, and I did find that there was a designer for this one. If I find that there was a designer behind this one, I'll put it after production. Future me, take note. But other than that, I believe this one is an in-house design, right? So they actually did a pretty interesting job here, right? First things first, we have a very interesting, titanium design going on. We have some contouring going on, a little bit of personality with this line right here, sort of adds to that futuristic aesthetics. So you can see this line sort of carries from the blade all the way into the handle itself. I thought that was pretty neat. Then it kind of goes up, and then, a little bit of a, cutout piece right here towards the back, which also works as your lanyard solution. Pretty long back spacer, by the way, also sort of loops around which is interesting. You have a deep pocket carry clip. It is also milled titanium as well. It is not reversible for my lefties out there. Sorry about that. It does make it beautiful on the other side, but maybe they make a lefty version. I'm not sure 100% there, but it is tip up carry only on the right side from what I see. The pocket clip, it works really good. It goes in and out of the pocket very, very well, as you would expect. They made it so that the pocket clip doesn't fall on top of the stress relief cutouts for the lock bar, which is very welcome. Still think they could have done those cutouts in the inside. That would have been maybe a little bit more beautiful, you know, aesthetically pleasing approach or design choice. We've seen that companies can do it. We've seen that design choice happen with other knives. They do it on the inside instead. But other than that, you have a cutout on this side, which allows you to see through. You don't have that on this side, which is interesting, right? So it's not a full triangle that lets you see through all the way to the other side. I'm not sure why. Maybe it has something to do with the integrity of the lock bar and all that. But they decided to do it as a whole, only on one end. Still pretty symmetrical because the triangle is there. So, you know, the aesthetically pleasing, right? That is there, which is nice. Just overall a very epic and super beautiful design, honestly. I know what you're probably thinking, right? Recurve blade, you know, that's probably not your cup of tea. You can see it as a pretty decent recurve. And, you know, there are some pros to having a recurve blade, right? It is going to trap material much easier than other different blade geometries and such. It does come with a little bit more challenging time when it comes to sharpening the blade, right? Sharpening a recurve blade versus, you know, a belly blade or straight edge. It's going to be just a different approach right there. You have a decently good plunge grind. The plunge grind starts about right there. And you still have a little bit of blade there for your upcoming sharpens before you get a smile. Check that out. All right. And the finish is beautiful, right? Beautiful finish. It's going to be, for a lot of people, it's going to be either you love it or you hate it, I feel like, right? You have to be into sort of the futuristic design looks to the knife and things like that. The other thing that's going to be either love it or hate it is the front flipper. So normally, and I don't know if you guys are anything like me or not, but normally I am more of a give me all the deployment options that you can on a knife. So spoiler alert, when you see the review on the Triad, this thing has a bajillion different deployment options going on, and this is more so my style of knife. However, since I obviously don't own one knife, right? Let's just say if you had to have one and only knife, then yes, you would want a knife that has all the possible deployment options. But because this day and age, we don't just own one knife, right? In most cases, I'm willing to bet you probably own a handful of knives, and you do your rotation where you do a different knife every single day or every single couple of days. Maybe you have a different knife for every day of the week, and then you rotate through them. So for one day, if you're carrying a knife that is a front flipper only, and you can do the front flipper, the reach around, and maybe the thumb deployment in there, right? That's pretty good. That's at least 3 deployment options right there. And of course, you're going to rotate out of this knife eventually with a different knife. So it's really not that bad, right? So for people looking for all the more, you know, the most amount of deployment options possible, it's not going to be this knife. But again, to me personally, it's not necessarily a deal breaker, because the one deployment option it does have, it works really, really good. The D10 is tuned pretty well for what it is as a front flipper, right? I feel like they put just the right amount of resistance on the blade there for the deployment, right? Just, yeah, and acoustically, it sounds really, really well also. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind there, right? The deployment options and the fact that you only have a certain amount of them. The pocket carry clip is deep, but it leaves about that much of the knife sticking out, which is, again, to me, is not a deal breaker. That's decently okay, decently good. The knife is pretty lightweight, honestly. For a full-size knife, we're looking at a pretty decent weight on this bad boy. So there we go. Let's take a look. 4.1 ounces. That is a really good weight for a full-size knife like this one. I'm sure the titanium helps quite a bit. And yeah, there's quite a bit of milling going on the inside, as you can see on this side. And not so, well, yeah, actually a little bit on the other side as well. Let me turn it around like this so you can see it. All right, so yes, it is mill, right? It really doesn't weigh a ton. 4.1 ounces for a full-size knife. I'll take that any day of the week. And I'm not a light freak by any means, so I like to carry knives of all different weights and things like that. So the other thing to look at is the blade stock thickness on this bad boy. So the thickest part is going to come in at around 0.12. That's pretty standard right there, so 0.12 inches. The handle is going to be a thickness of 0.48, which is also pretty standard, right? Not super girthy, but a good amount of handle material there for you to grip onto. Ergonomically speaking, right? Let's see. Hammer grip right here, right? Just gripping it back here. You still have plenty of handle left. I have medium hands, not the biggest, not the smallest hands, but you can see I can get a full purchase right there. And now we also have a finger choil right here. So we can forward choke on this bad boy, and then we can get some more control cuts, right? We can put this tip right here to use if we wanted to. Get up on the tip right here if we wanted to as well. Get some work done with that. Honestly, yeah, the functionality is there, and ergonomically speaking, it feels really good. Even the reverse grip feels good. And that forward choil, finger choil right there, came pretty handy at times when making slice cuts and things like that. That worked out pretty well right there. The action, check out the drop shot action right here. Look at this, right? You just basically give it a little bit of a persuasion, little, forward swing, if you will, and then it drops all the way down. Right, nice little flick of the detent once it basically goes in all the way or back in all the way. All right, that's really nice. Let's do a hardware check here on this bad boy. Keep in mind, my tools are highly recommendable, and they're linked down below if you want to check them out. The only thing I want to say, okay, let's start with the good news. So we have T8 in the pivot. That's nice. And we have what seems to be T6 on the lock bar insert, still insert. T6 on the pocket clip, and that's really it, right? That is really it. I did notice that it was pretty interesting that they use just the one screw for the pocket clip to basically screw the other handle. The other piece of the handle here. One screw takes care of holding everything in place, so it's basically the pivot, this other screw back here, and that is it, which makes for a very clean design. From the show face, you really don't see any screws at all. Got a captive pivot on this side, right, and very minimal screws on this side. Pretty much what's necessary. You need a pivot screw. This one holds everything together back here along with the clip, and a steel bar lock bar insert right there. That's really it. 3 screws. So I really would have wanted T8 hardware. I feel like that's everyone's desire this day and age. For a premium knife, what we want to see. This guy does come in around $250, so we definitely would want to see a little bit bigger hardware for that price. I don't know if you guys noticed what happened there a second ago. I slipped off. So something to notice here, this one goes more for the smooth jimping sort of approach. Same deal going on with the Triad, okay, which is not bad. You have to kind of find your taste in front flippers, what sort of jimping does it for you. Once you get the hang of it, right, you know exactly where to put pressure. You don't want to put pressure too high up or too low. It has to be in the right place, okay? I say that because I'm also currently EDCing a Tuya Wrath. This one's a front flipper also, but the teeth on this one are really, really aggressive, right? This one, you can still get it to work. It's functional, right? Some people might argue it's a little too tall, but I feel like it's just the right amount. The Tuya Wrath, the jimping here, it's very close together, and I'm not sure if the camera is even going to do it justice or not, but take a look right there, right? Look at the teeth. Those are, some really, really effective teeth. So love or hate it, with this one, those teeth are going to sink into your skin. You are going to get it to deploy, whether you want to or not. Really hard to fail this one, and if you do, it's really going to help. Really gonna hurt quite a bit. So let me know in the comments, are you more of a smooth jimping for your front flippers? Are you more of a really aggressive toothy jimping for your front flippers? By the way, I'm currently carrying the Tuya Wrath here, and the review for this one is coming up as well. So definitely make sure to like this video, subscribe if you aren't already, so you don't miss out on that. But honestly, I'll be getting more and more into front flippers here as we go. Really having a blast carrying front flippers, and this one did a really, really good job for me, and really a lot of pressure, very satisfying. You have a premium knife in your pocket. It feels, really, really premium for the price. And, there's a few things, right? A few things that I noticed. One being the reverse flick being non-existent, right? Oh, see? You see what I'm saying? You guys saw that. I'm going to play this in slow motion. Sometimes you can reverse flick it, but you got to find just the right spot. And what I found is, okay, fingernail right here. See, sometimes you feel it, sometimes you get it. It's a little bit of a mastery, if you will. So it's very painful when you don't get it right. And, avoiding putting additional pressure on the lock bar is also challenging. So I don't know, just At least I have video evidence that I was able to do it a time or two. Other than that, it got really painful, and I'm about to stop right now before I lose my fingernail. But you know, at least with the other deployment options, you should be good to go. I mentioned earlier, right, a little bit of a challenging time when it comes time to sharpen this guy because of the recurve. You either love a good recurve or you don't, but I mean, this would be one that I wouldn't mind having just because of how sick it looks, how futuristic and awesome this design is. I'm really into it. I mean, some people might not be their cup of tea, but me personally, I dig this thing 100%. It is right up my alley as far as, you know, some of the unique designs that I like. I like the fact that it goes for a very different approach on a knife. It's not trying to be any other knife. It's not trying to fit into the same lines that every other knife out there tries to fit into. It's trying to be its own thing. It's trying to be a little wild design while still being functional, still doing its thing and functioning pretty well at the same time. So, and last but not least, you know, the Illusion print right here on the blade could have been maybe a tad bit smaller, or maybe printed somewhere else, you know, perhaps, you know, tuck it away somewhere where you don't really see it. But the billboarding is not too bad. We have M390 on this side and Illusion on this side, you know, with a bigger font that I would like. But, you know, we're nitpicking at this point. You know, the T6 hardware I would do away with, make it T8. But other than that, I mean, those were really the only minimal pieces to it, right? Backspacer looks nice. The fit and finish looks really good. Check out the alignment on this thing, right? This thing is smack in the middle, hasn't really moved or swayed to either side. The lockup feels really good. Up and down, no play. Side to side, no play. Solid 10 out of 10 right there. What else is there to say about this knife that I haven't already? So while I think of anything else that I might be forgetting, let's do a quick short, you know, a quick paper cutting test here, shall we? All right, this thing is still holding a really good edge. And keep in mind, this is not a brand new knife. This thing has been seeing some use and still just as slicey as when it probably came out of the box, right? Again, that recurve is putting in work. Whoa, check that out. Also a nice full slice to all the way down. You're probably wondering, can I do some cutting with that front part? Yes, let's test that out. All right, check that. See, that's that front part alone. All right, so it's got to catch it the right way. Yeah, might want to, there we go, see? So it certainly cuts, right? That front part alone, that flat grind towards the front tip of the blade. But yeah, you're probably gonna do most of your cutting with the recurve portion. Oh, cut there a bit. So we know it's gonna cut paper. What about some cardboard? We got today's special, the veggie straws, single wall cardboard going on. Remember when cutting cardboard, don't cut perpendicular like this, but at an angle, and it will look something like this. Here we go. Right, cut a little bit. So whenever you get to the tip, keep in mind it does get a little thicker here because of going from one grind to the next. So that's the part that might be a little challenging. But as long as you stay somewhere in this middle portion right here, you're gonna be just fine. Wow. Yeah, if you stay in that threshold, I'm telling you, you're gonna be getting some really good slices going on. Yeah, so you guys rate it in the comments on a scale from 1 through 10. Very, very capable blade that recurve is going to put in work with absolutely zero doubt. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts on the Ketuo Illusion. Really, really digging this one. I love the design. I find it to be, for me, right, really, really interesting. Very, very functional blade at the same time. So if you're looking for a unique piece, one that doesn't really fit the mold for every other knife out there, which today, in today's day and age, it feels like every single model of a knife coming out is pretty much the same vanilla design over and over and over again. This one brings something, you know, unique, something different to the table. And again, the fit and finish, the quality of work here, you know, it's really, really good. So yeah, Ketuo and Reich knife, they are, you know, so far, you know, causing a really good impression. I love the work that they do. I'm willing to venture they more or less do as good of a job as Triad. I mean, honestly, you know, obviously this knife is made overseas in China, in case you weren't aware of that, but I feel like that was pretty obvious. And other than that, I mean, they do a killer job. They really do a good job here. Typically $250, you know, if you're looking for a premium knife with titanium handles and premium steel, right, M390, that's probably about the price point you're looking at, right? You got other brands out there to consider, like Kumwu, right, Triad themselves and such, but This one is interesting. Again, just looking at the blade alone, looking at the way they did this blade in such a unique way, such an interesting way, you know, I'm really sold right there. And honestly, just a knife as a whole, really. So those are my thoughts. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments. You guys let me know. Let's have a discussion down there. Let's hang out in the comments and let me know what else you want to know about the Ketuo Illusion, right? Also, be on the lookout for the review dropping soon on the Ketuo Triad. This is the other model that I was trying at the same time. This one is very, very fidgety as well. So check that one out. This will be a great time, guys, to smash that like button if you haven't already. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out any new content coming out. If you love knives, if you love EDC gear, I promise you, you won't be disappointed. It'll be worth coming back for more. If you do want to support the channel a step further, there is a link for Patreon down below. And also, you can support the channel here on YouTube by becoming a channel member. You'll have access to exclusive perks. Last but not least, check out the unboxing on the Tuya Wrath. This one is also a very interesting premium EDC knife as well, around the same ballpark as the Illusion as well. So definitely a very good contender right there, with also a dual ground. This one is on S90V steel, right? Front flipper also, but with thumb deployment, and frag titanium. Beautiful, beautiful knife. Check this one out. I'll put a card for it right here. Guys, if you made it to the very end, you guys are the real MVPs. I really love you all. Love all of your support. Can't thank you guys enough. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Peace!